Hey, it's Saul with another video, and I wanted to take a few moments today. Hopefully this will be a quick video, and I wanted to do just kind of a lightning round of different predictions and expectations that I have. So it's going to be really simple. I'm just going to bring up a topic. I'm going to give a direct yes or no answer. There's no maybes on this, and I'll give a couple of additional thoughts, but I'll do my best to just give only a couple of seconds per topic. So let's go. Will there be an expansion announcement? Duh. If there isn't, I imagine there being like riots just outside of the convention center where they're like, people are just like tipping over the food trucks, and well, I'll still be eating chicken and waffles, but I'll be really angry while I'm eating them. Will there be a stat squish? Yes. Personally, I don't care for a stat squish. I just, I don't really care about the numbers, but some people do, and it's kind of a legitimate concern from a perspective or from a perception standpoint. My hopes are, of course, that this time Blizzard figures out a way to kind of make these numbers work on a more permanent basis, so we don't have to do these kind of stat squishes, every other expansion or so. But this is the kind of situation that we can't really avoid. I mean, WoW is going to be like 13 years old this year, and having to stretch all that content out, if we wanted to, like, let's pretend we wanted to try to compress leveling just to like 60 levels again, I don't think that would be very feasible at all, given like the kind of spread of numbers that we would need to have from level 1 content or starter content to like the very end. But then we get into like level scaling, and well, that's a different topic altogether. Will there be a level revamp? Yes. WoW is becoming so monstrously big in terms of like game scope that getting a free character boost with the new expansion, I mean, cool, we get we can skip straight and go straight to the action, but at the same time we kind of leave 13 years of history behind, and that kind of sucks. It's my expectation that there should be something, either like a full revamp of how the world operates, or some sort of system or mechanic. There's something that I thought of once upon a time where that kind of bridges the narratives together, so we can get an explanation as to why we became like the Garrison commander, the OVERHAUL class leader person, or whatever the heck we're going to be in this upcoming expansion. Will there be TITANFORGING? No. I think TITANFORGING was a cool experiment, but TITANFORGING was supposed to serve a certain purpose, and that is to give value. It's supposed to give value to the activities that we do day after day, at least here in the Broken Isles and in Argus and wherever. TITANFORGING might have been something that fit that criteria, but so was artifact power, and I've said this multiple times. And I think that some sort of other mechanic can also fill this place in, on top of TITANFORGING, or instead of TITANFORGING, I'm sorry. I think in this case, the pros do not outweigh the cons, and in this case, there is, alternatives to TITANFORGING that I think players and Blizzard could be happy with. Will there be a talent overhaul? Yeah. Mostly because I think it's time to do it. I mean, we've had this type of talent system ever since Mist of Pandaria, and then we've lived through it through Warlords, or through MOP, through Warlords, and through Legion. I think it's just time. I think, it's come to that point where the developers might be like, this is kind of stagnant, especially because this kind of overlaps with major glyphs, although those are gone now, and it also overlaps with legendaries, which may or may not be gone in the next expansion. But I think it made talents just kind of feel like this extra thing. I think a really big change needs to happen to make talents feel meaningful again. Will there be an offline progression / garrison-like thing? Yes. The garrison and the shipyard were like 1.0, the order hall was 2.0, and then whatever the heck we're going to get would be the 3.0. I think that overall, players do like having some sort of offline progression thing, knowing that they can be offline and there's at least a little something going on in the background with their character where, they invested a little bit of time and they can log off, log back in, and they get a reward for it. Personally, I was happy with the Order Hall because it didn't really offer a whole lot of power benefits to it, but at the same time, at least early on, it did, and some players weren't very happy about it. I was totally fine with it because I just didn't really care about my alts. My hopes are that if something like that does come along in the future, that it isn't as dependent early on. We're not totally tied to this system, at least at the very beginning. Will there be legacy realms? Sorry, no, I don't think so. And this is mostly because Legion didn't totally bomb. If it did bomb, then Blizzard can be like, okay, we're gonna play our last card, Blau, Legacy servers. Let's do this. I think that, Legion's success, and I'm gonna call it a success, it's allowed Blizzard to just kind of push that and to kind of kick that can down the road, so to speak. It's something they can do at any time that they want. It's just, when do they want to do it? That's all. Will Mythic ratings still be locked at 20 people? Unfortunately, yeah, I think it's still going to be locked. I mean, Blizzard has said multiple times that they're happy about it, so they're happy about it. I mean, they know the numbers better than we do. Of course, personally, I'm not very pleased about it, but that's very likely what's going to happen. Are there still going to be legendary items, at least the kinds that Legion has? Yes. These types of legendaries provide a certain amount of chaos into the mix. You know, they provide certain kinds of utility and, you know, just kind of gameplay changes that some players liked. And, you know, it's something that was normally limited to certain sets as well as trinkets. So legendaries, as long as they're just very utility based and have pretty much nothing to do with player power, I think is a good thing. Following up with legendaries, is there going to be a legendary-like drop system? No. In the end, I disagree with that whole notion that was stated before, very early in the Legion announcement, that they wanted to give players a really cool feeling when something awesome dropped. The thing is, though, when this awesome thing dropped, you know, back in the day, cool, I got a Kroll Blade, you know, that's awesome. It's like a level 40 weapon and it lasted a little while and it was cool, but then I eventually moved on. With a legendary from Legion, you know, when we get that thing lasted the rest of the expansion, and that's not something that I was very keen on. You know, it doesn't give you that same kind of feeling. I think there could be much better ways of providing legendaries that give players a bit more agency and choice and just overall a good feeling without the need of just pure luck to get like the right thing and like a convoluted bad luck protection thingamajig on top of that. Shoot, if I had my way, then it would just come in the form of legendary glyphs, and we would apply these glyphs to our characters, and ta-da, because it's the same darn thing. Will the next expansion be as RNG heavy? No. This goes back to the TITANFORGING and the legendary question that I just answered, that, you know, the whole RNG system, it was designed to provide a sort of player fulfillment that I think different systems can provide in a better way. You know, the whole system of luck, it's designed to give us, you know, a bunch of items, and then from that, okay, something here has got to be good. I think instead that I think the kind of answer that Blizzard is trying to solve, or the problem that Blizzard is trying to solve, is how do we give players a good feeling of, you know, going in and doing their thing for the day, and, you know, what do they come out with? And I think that they succeeded with artifact power. I think that's a perfectly fine system as it is right now in patch 7.3. Maybe not so much earlier. But with regards to like the gear portion of it, it was pretty inconsistent. I mean, they were counting on, oh, players should feel good about helping out their low B buddies go through older content, and that's kind of a cool thing. But having it tied to a system of luck like that with like super crazy Titanforge stuff, I don't think that's the best answer. I think there are better ways to do it. So I've talked about it in other videos and other times, but basically I'm saying no, it won't be as RNG heavy because Blizzard thought of something. Will this expansion be about the old gods, the void, and all that stuff? Yes, but it's not going to be like a super central theme of the expansion. In my opinion, this is my opinion, I think the central theme of the expansion is going to be Azeroth itself. Because when you think about the past couple of expansions that have had the approach of having the narrative drive us from one expansion to the other, like with Mists of Pandaria, it was Garrosh and his whole thing, and then that led up to Warlords of Draenor, and then Warlords of Draenor at the very end with Gul'dan getting shot off, that led into Legion, and then with Legion, with the whole, spoiler alert, with the whole stabbing of the world, that's going to lead into what's going on now. So, you know, at the very least, we're going to be very centered on Azeroth and its people and things like that, and not so much the whole Azeroth waking up or or like the old gods of the void, you know, swallowing us whole or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be like a whole end of the universe thing. I think it's going to be a little bit watered down. It's going to be character focused. It's going to be lore heavy. It's going to have a lot of localized problems instead of just like, you know, this greater threat. But my answer is still yes. The old gods in the void will be a part of it. It's just not going to be the central theme. New class? No. Too soon. New race? No, I don't think so. I mean, I've been saying that I'd like there to be like ethereals, but I just don't see, I don't really see that happening. I mean, that'd be the closest thing, but in my opinion, I think that because I strongly believe that the theme of this expansion is going to be largely focused on Azeroth itself, we're not going to bring in otherworldly races like the ethereals. I think, you know, more so we're going to see like the whole idea of sub races or character customizations where we see like different colors of different, you know, being able to differentiate our characters a little bit more through different colors and tattoos and facial features and bulkiness and all that stuff. Will there be a brand new profession? No. I mean, I haven't really thought of anything. You know, it's really going to depend on the narrative of whatever expansion comes out. If there's going to be a new profession, although I guess with archaeology that it came in with, I think Cataclysm. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is all off the top of my head. That was just kind of a off the wall thing, but I guess the theme fit because, you know, Deathwing comes out, things get unearthed. I guess we'll just have to see. It's just really going to be based on probably the narrative of the expansion. Shoot, if it's like South Seas, maybe we'll be like clam diving. Yeah, how would you like that for a secondary? Clam diving, yay! Will there be player or guild housing? No. Unfortunately, player and guild housing is a very sandboxy kind of thing, and WoW is not a very sandboxy kind of game. Blizzard is very much about the walled garden sort of thing, and so they just don't allow that kind of level of customization, unfortunately. I would love to have player and guild housing, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not for the reasons that they state, but you know, for reasons that have been that are unstated. It's not anything that I can explain, but I'm sure that there are reasons why Blizzard just doesn't want to do something like that. Will there be a troll raid? Yep. It's been a while. I think the last one was what? Throne of Thunder? People like Throne of Thunder. Maybe we'll get something back. Will there still be mythic keystones? Hell yeah, there's still going to be mythic keystones. I mean, with the success of the MDI or the Mythic Dungeon Invitational, I think that there's going to be a big push, you know, an even bigger push for having, you know, cooler dungeon mechanics, cooler boss mechanics that come just from dungeons and things like that. I think overall we're going to see more focus on dungeons, or at least the MDI will just influence, you know, a little bit more love for the dungeoneering side of WoW. Will there be new dungeons that are introduced over the course of the expansion? Yes, but to be honest, I don't want there to be. I mean, Karazhan, the Return to Karazhan worked out because it was Return to Karazhan. It was a remix. It was something that we were used to. But when it comes to Cathedral of the Eternal Night and Seat of the Toilet, whatever it's called, those didn't quite work out, and I blame TITANFORGING for the most part because it made the tuning like really off, or Blizzard just kind of screwed up, you know, one thing or the other or both. But I think that, you know, overall, like the dungeons there, they just didn't quite work out, you know, later on over the course of the expansion, and that's something that's how I felt even back in the last time that they did dungeons later in the expansion, which was during Cataclysm. I wasn't really feeling it. You know, I went there, I did them, it's like, okay, cool, but then I didn't really feel invested into it like the way that I did with other previous expansions. Well, I guess I'm just talking about like dungeons that came out first. I care about them more than the newer ones that came out. I can't really explain it, but you know, that's just me. Will there be more existing race options? That kind of goes back to the whole, you know, will there be new races? No, they're gonna have this instead. Yeah, they're gonna have I think they're gonna like go this whole sub race kind of route, or they'll just bring like different versions of these kinds of characters, like, you know, different colors for night elves and brown orcs, or super, you know, super tribal looking humans or something like that. And I think it's because, again, this expansion is probably going to involve the whole world, and so I think there's going to be you know, a kind of a way to draw upon like other parts of the world, like people from Alterac. Maybe they'll have like their own distinct kind of look to them. Maybe not so much facial features totally, but you know, they might have a bit, you know, a bit gruffier of a voice, and they might do new voices or something like that. Will there be realm mergers? Yes, I definitely hope so, at least. Ian Hazzikostas had explained in one of the more recent Q&As that realm mergers, they did want it to happen, but with the whole sharding technology that came in Legion, they had to delay it. They had to put it off until whenever. So they started doing experiments a while back. This is, you know, he said this during the Q&A. So I would expect, if they haven't made announcements already and I just totally missed it, that they should be coming, you know, for the next expansion. Because you got to consider like realm populations, at least at a certain amount of time. That's when you would probably want to start coalescing or connecting these realms, because otherwise you don't want launch day to all of a sudden have like, you know, 200,000 people trying to get onto like this one realm, because Blizzard like screwed up their projections and calculations, and they figured, oh yeah, no one's really going to be joining up with this cluster, and instead everyone decided to. So that would kind of suck. Will there be new Worgen or Goblin models? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be at launch. If they are going to go with this whole character customization or sub-race routes, I think that's going to be like the bigger draw that is going to bring more players in, because Worgen and Goblins, they already exist. It's not like they're dead. And I think there's precedence, because with Warlords of Draenor, they delayed, I believe, the Blood Elf character model, and I think like one other, they delayed it until after launch. So I would expect something like that to happen here. Will there be a lot of focus on the outdoor world? Yes. So by that, I'm talking about like World Quest. I think they're going to just kind of jack that up a couple of notches to make it so that it's going to be not just repeats of quests that we had already done. I mean, we're probably going to have that because that's a smart idea. But then hopefully we'll have like a lot more unique content too, like Kirin Tor level kind of stuff, like just totally random things. Like I would love to have like a flying, a flight-based Kirin Tor world quest going on, something like that, because, that would give some meaning to flights and all that. Will racial leaders change again? Yeah, sure. Right now, the whole title of being like your racial leader, it doesn't really have a lot of meaning to it. I mean, yeah, you represent your faction as like the leader, but you're not actually like commanding, these people aren't really like commanding things, they kind of leave it up to their like lieutenants. But you also have to think like there are a lot of stories that have kind of effectively wrapped up. Malfurion, his story maybe it hasn't quite wrapped up, but like, especially with the events of the Emerald Nightmare, that solved the entire Xavius thing, so there's not too much going on with him. With Velen, there's not too much going on with him either, because like his whole race, their whole story is resolved kind of like how the Blood Elves were, where they're no longer being chased by the Burning Legion. Like, they're gone. Another spoiler alert, sorry. Burning Legion is basically gone. They don't have anything to run from. So now maybe it's kind of like, maybe the direction of the Draenei are going to change, where they're going to be like more, so, they're going to be like settling in finally, as if they haven't already. I mean, it's been a while, right? But who knows? Maybe folks like Malfurion and Velen, maybe they'll just like either die. I'm hoping that they don't die like needlessly, but maybe they'll just have like kind of their own little send off, and they'll just be like, hey, I'm just gonna step down, kind of like what Thrall did. I'm gonna let someone else, take up the reins and see what happens, because that's one easy way to strike up like a possible faction war, if that's going to be a possible thing. It'd be a way to help carry things, because right now it's just Sylvanas and Gen Greymane that are kind of carrying the torch, the wartime torch, and everyone else is like, we're not really feeling it. So I think some new blood and a clean and relatively peaceful balance of, transfer of power. I think that would help make things a little bit easier for the fans. But then from there, stuff is more than free to hit the fan. Are a lot of major characters going to die? No, I don't think so. I mean, Legion had a lot of characters die. But not to say that no one's going to die, but I think that whoever does, it's going to have a really, really big impact. It's not going to be, not to put down Tyrion Fordring, but his death was kind of whipped. He was just kind of like there, he screams, he falls, and then, Paladins get to see him again in his final moments, whoop-de-doo. But that wasn't like, super impactful. I think, other character deaths that might happen, it's going to be like cinematic level kind of stuff, like Ysera level kind of stuff. Just, well, probably, hopefully a better death than getting like one shot by one little fireball thing. Will Wrathion be involved? Yeah, I think so. I mean, just like what Blizzard had said way back in the day, I forgot when now, but they talked about Wrathion for a little bit, and they said, they wanted to get him in, they had something lined up for him, but then in the end, they decided to scrap it. It didn't quite make sense to them, so they wanted to revisit him later, and eventually he did show up, at least in the Chromie scenario, if you guys have done that. You just see him for a little bit, and this is supposed to be in the future, in the near future, actually, because given our item level and everything. But, there is a chance that Wrathion might have something to do with whatever the heck's going on. Maybe it's Void or Old God related. Maybe it's something totally off the wall, if we happen to be like totally wrong about all of our predictions as to what the theme of this next expansion is going to be. Will the other Dragonflights be involved? Well, if Wrathion's involved, then definitely yes. But I want to say yes. I want to say yes to that too, because we have more and more aspects that are dead, and I know that the aspects have been depowered. They're no longer like super relevant to the world. But I would figure that with Ysera's death, or Ysera's death, however you want to pronounce it. With her death, you'd figure that the other dragons would be like, "Oh, well, that's a bummer." They would have like some sort of reaction, and at least to my, to my limited gameplay, I guess. Maybe I just never found it, but I would have figured that the dragons would have like said something, that they would have had some sort of response to having one of their longtime buddies go down. Will the world be level scaled again like the Broken Isles? Yeah, because the system worked. I mean, it's a very cool and fascinating system that I think Blizzard was able to nail. I mean, they made the entire game world of the Broken Isles relevant. And that's a big deal compared to previous expansions where you had like small little areas. When you think about like Golden Lotus back in Mists of Pandaria, there's only like, that area to the north and a little ways. There are very small pockets of things to do. And here you have an entire expandable system where you can add all sorts of crazy stuff if you wanted to. I think that the whole world quest system could be expanded more. I talked about this just earlier, where they could have like more variety as opposed to just repeating the same kinds of quests that we already done before. But adding in like a whole bunch more quests into the mix and a larger, a larger variety of these types of quests, I think that would really go a long way. Will the old style of dailies return? Yes, I want to say yeah. The old style of dailies, and when I'm talking about the old style, I'm thinking again of Mists of Pandaria, where you have like a certain number of quests that are assigned from somebody, and then once you complete all those quests, then you get one more follow-up quest after that. That gives you like a snazzy reward. It's kind of like getting an emissary, but instead of like just going in and turning in and getting like your box of disappointment, you get one more quest. Then you get your box of disappointment afterwards. And I think that helps to drive the narrative a little bit more of the reputations, and I think that was something that I thought was a failing of Legion, but a win for Mists of Pandaria. I think they really succeeded with the storytelling of their factions on that, because when you think about the Court of Ferrandis, what the hell did we do for them? We helped Prince What's-His-Face, Prince Ferrandis, make drinks and all that. Hey, whoop-de-doo. Like, and then what? So I think that the old style of dailies has a reason to come back. I don't think it's going to come back as on quite as big of a scale as like Mists of Pandaria. I think for the most part, world quests are going to definitely dominate. But I think doing both, I mean, why not? I think you can do both. Will there be another max level exclusive zone like Suramar? Yes. I think overall Suramar was really successful when it comes to narrative and storytelling, and heck, I think it would be cool if dailies were just in those max level zones and not a world quest system, because that zone, the max level zone, I figured that would be very heavily story driven. So I think a normal daily system like that could work. One thing I would like though is just a little bit more follow up. Like with Suramar, we just kind of left things alone after that. There wasn't a whole lot else going on. I mean, we couldn't really like reach, it wouldn't be right if we reached like a straight up conclusion, like, okay, the city's saved and everyone's fine now, and then now it's whatever it is, like what would Suramar City be afterwards? Like we would need a reason to still go there and appreciate what the fruits of our labor. I mean, maybe Suramar could have turned into like a whole Dark Moon Fair kind of area where it's just like fun and fun dailies or in a world quest to do. No one gets hurt, no one dies or nothing like that. It's just fun stuff. So I think if there is a next max level zone, if they can pull off something like that where they have, it's very heavily story driven, but there is kind of an epilogue at the end, I think that's something that players could appreciate. Will Blizzard try item level scaling again in the outdoor world? Yes, and this time they'll be a lot more transparent about it. I mean, a system like that is easy to understand, but it's easy to also misunderstand and misconstrue, and then throw all the exaggerations and hyperbole and just like the unintelligent talk. It's just easy to muck up. I mean, the way that I saw this whole system with item level scaling is that, let's pretend like for every 1% that I gain, or I'm sorry, let me use better numbers. For every like 5% of power that I gain as a player, then the outdoor world will become 1% stronger. So it's like, okay, so if I am 100% stronger than I was before, then the outdoor world is just 20% stronger, and that's not much. You know, I'm still 80% stronger than whatever. You know, the math would work out in a system like that, and the whole point of it is to kind of take away, is to kind of prevent what's going on right now. Like we have situations where you're either one-shotting enemies, or the enemies are one-shotting you because like they're so freaking strong and your item level is so low, but the item level difference between player A and player B might be so great. So I think some small form of scaling is in order. It's just a matter of Blizzard communicating it well and properly to players, and to reassure them that no, it's not going to be a situation where you're going to be unable to kill things, or you have to de-gear yourself in order to hit mobs harder. I was seeing so much of that kind of crap on the forums, and I'm like, oh god, they're not understanding. But it is easy to misunderstand too. So I think if Blizzard communicated this well, then they can pull something like this off. I'm just not really feeling it when it comes to like world content, and it's not really a matter of completing the content. It's more a matter of just getting a race to like tag mobs because everything's dying so freaking quickly. Will there be boats? Will this be a boat expansion? Logically, I'd say no, but I think the public pressure is leaning towards yes, assuming that this is like a very seafaring kind of expansion. I mean, I don't really see a reason for boats because we have flying mounts, and so if this is announced and they announce boats and whatever, I mean, how are critics, how are the negative Nancy's going to react to that? They're going to be like, well, why the hell do I have a boat when I can like zip around? You've just devalued my flying mount, Blizzard. How dare you? And what kind of pathfinding crap are you going to give us now? Because when you think about it, it's like, well, why? Why do we need a boat? Is there going to be a narrative written that once again disables flights? I'm sure that, of course, players are going to be very unhappy about it. And there's already so many ways to like zip around the world, as the world of Azeroth as we know it. That make me think, well, why do I need a boat? I can just, take a hearth and go here. Or I can use a wormhole generator and go here and zip here, or I could just use Dalaran and I can get to like almost everywhere that I need to go, and so on and so forth. So I'm not crazy about the idea of boats, but I can definitely see a boat thing happening. Is there going to be another crazy fangled system like artifact power? Yeah. And by that, I'm talking about, is there going to be a system that rewards players for logging in every day? Is there going to be like some sort of special currency that's, kind of like artifact power, or kind of like valor or justice points or honor, something that, some small reward for player to make it feel like, they spent their day, and it's not like they are supposed to get like the most badass welfare legendary that they're supposed to get, but they came out with something, and they feel a little bit better knowing that they just didn't waste their time for the day. Will there be involvement with CALIA MENETHIL? Now this is the last one. Now there was a recent theory based on a very brief video that was released for the purpose of the virtual tickets, where you see like the Lordaeron symbol. It's kind of there in the background where they're building some sort of stage, and so the community has been in quite the tizzle about, oh, what's going to happen? Is CALIA going to like try to take over the Undercity, or is she going to reestablish the kingdom of Lordaeron and all that stuff? No, I don't think so. I think this is just like, I think it's a big nothing. I don't think it's anything. But with regards to CALIA MENETHIL, regards to the lady herself, she might have an involvement, maybe not in this expansion, but like a future expansion or a late patch, because at least with CALIA, there's very, very, very little backstory that she's been given. I mean, she's a champion in the priest OVERHAUL. That's about it. You don't really see much of anything that she does. So I think that over time, they're going to at least start writing her in. Once they write her into the narrative, then maybe something will come out of it. But I don't think it's going to be like a huge drastic move. Like, oh my god, we're going to have him suddenly, she's going to suddenly like try to take over Lordaeron or something like that. I think that if anything, there might be something political that happens, where maybe CALIA and Anduin Lothar will, Rin will hook up. And then boom, this is like cool, this is a power couple. At the same time though, there's not a lot of Lordaeron left. I mean, how many humans are still in Lordaeron? Not very many. And I doubt that the Forsaken are going to be like, oh my god, it's the heir of Lordaeron. Let's leave the Undercity because she's making a claim. No, that's not going to happen. I mean, as far as I know, you know, unless CALIA does marry Anduin, she has no backing. She has no house. Like, as far as I've noticed, her house is pretty much gone. She has a couple guards, and maybe that's about it. So that's about it for me. And you know, I think I've talked way more than I thought I would. Some lightning round, huh? Anyway, I'm obviously so looking forward to BlizzCon, and I can't wait to go back to this list. I'll probably go back to this and do a follow-up video so I can find out just how wrong I was about 99% of everything that's on this list. The only one thing that I'm, you know, absolutely sure of is that there will be an expansion announcement, because if not, there's going to be hell to pay, Blizzard. There will be hell to pay. So anyway, like this video if you liked and cared about it. Please subscribe if you're interested in any more of the content. And otherwise, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.